My name is Amelia Obermayer. I'm an IB2 student, and I'm about to graduate. And most days, it feels like I'm preparing for a future that no one can clearly describe. I memorize content, I practice exam questions, and I stress about my grades. And on the outside, the world is changing faster than our classrooms. How many of you woke up and checked the news of a new conflict or war before you checked your school timetable? Sometimes it feels unreal to stress about homework deadlines while the world around us is becoming more unstable by the week. This just shows how protective our school bubble really is. But after graduation, that bubble disappears, and we suddenly start worrying about our jobs, about our careers, about our future. And let me ask you something. How many of you know exactly what kind of job you want to do in 3 or 4 years' time? And how many of you are confident that that job will still exist? According to the World Economic Forum, 65% of students today will work in jobs that don't even exist yet. Think about that. Lesson content, seminars, and training programs are constantly being updated, but not nearly as fast enough as changing industries, as changing political systems, and of changing technologies. In many ways, we are being prepared for a world of yesterday, a world where there aren't more than 8 billion people in the world, a world where there are fewer technological disruptions, and a world where climate disruption is not unavoidable. We are trained for certainty in a world defined by uncertainty. And at the same time, we're living through the largest war in Europe since World War II, conflicts in Gaza, in Iran, in Venezuela, in Yemen, in Myanmar, and Sudan, and climate-driven displacement affecting millions. This isn't just background noise. This is the world we are entering. So the real question becomes, if education is meant to prepare us for life, what kind of thinking does life demand now? If you're an IB student, you'll know that in TOK we talk about uncertainty and about knowledge a lot, asking the question, how do we know what we know? Now the people we vote for is determined by trends and algorithms, and anything can be explained in 15-second clips. And I'm sure I don't need to list off the ever-growing list of things AI can do. AI can even write TED Talk speeches. I was tempted. But you probably have more important things to be worrying about than listening to my speech, an AI-generated speech. And let's be honest, if education is only about memorizing content, AI will outperform us. And that's where future-proof skills come into play. Skills like critical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence, flexibility, and digital literacy, along with many more. So why am I giving this speech? It's not because I have the answers on how to solve wars, or how to deal with AI taking over, or the future of jobs, because I don't. And it's not because school is useless, it's not. But because as a student, I kept noticing the same feeling of uncertainty. And research shows I'm not alone. A survey of 10,000 young people aged from 16 to 25 found that 70% of people are worried about climate change, and nearly half of them say that it affects their daily lives. And that percentage was even higher in developing countries that are expected to face the worst consequences of climate change. Another poll found that 15% of young adults believe their country is heading in the right direction, only 15%, and less than 20% trust that governments are doing the right thing. So students aren't just stressed, and as one researcher put it, young people aren't just worried, they're overwhelmed. But here's the part that surprised me. Uncertainty isn't only producing anxiety. It's also producing awareness. Young people say that schools should teach sustainability and the skills to act on it. And over 70% feel personally responsible for addressing global issues. And another 80% believe that collective action can actually work. So uncertainty isn't paralyzing us, it's motivating us. The problem is we're rarely taught how to think alongside it. Most of the time we're taught this is the right answer and use it here. But real life asks a different question. It asks, does this way of thinking still make sense now? No, it doesn't. But a way of thinking developed thousands of years ago surprisingly does. Ancient philosophers such as Socrates and the Stoics weren't trying to make people feel certain. And I'm not just dropping philosophers into my speech to sound more sophisticated. The concept of uncertainty was widely discussed by many philosophers. One particular philosopher I'd like to bring your attention to is Heraclitus. He talked about the concept phanta rhei. Everything flows, nothing is fixed, and nothing is final, and the river of life moves. And so must we. These philosophers weren't trying to prepare people for uncertainty. They focused less on having the right idea and more on how to respond when circumstances change. And that's why uncertainty matters to us. We are a generation of learning and of planning and studying our lives in conditions that are generally unstable, politically unstable, economically unstable, and environmentally unstable. So maybe the real goal of education isn't to eliminate uncertainty. Maybe it's to help think with it, recognize it, sit with it. And realizing that, at least for me, made me think that uncertainty is less a weakness and more something we can learn to live with. And when you leave this event today and you're watching the news once again and you think it's unbearable or unpredictable, remember this. Uncertainty should not demotivate us. It should raise our awareness. The real challenge isn't uncertainty itself. It's learning to think with it. And that's exactly what education should teach us. Thank you.